Welcome to Escape Artist 101,
Welcome.
where you'll learn all things escape artist. This is our first collaborative work, and I guess I should say it's an album.
Yep, it's been a long time coming. God, how long has it been?
It's been, okay, so when we first started working on Escape Artist, it was what, 2021?
2021. Well, that was our second iteration of it. Really?
You mean first?
Well, second iteration 2021. Oh, I guess you're right, because we moved into the previous apartment in 2021. Then we moved in here 2022.
Right. So when we
Damn.
first started working on Escape Artist, we didn't even live here. We've been living here for like 3 years?
3 years, yeah. 3.5 years now.
Doing
Crazy
math in
shit.
real time. I'm glad I got that correct the first
I
try.
know.
So yeah, we started in 2021. And what kind of gave you the idea to make some sort of collaborative work with me? I mean, we've worked together for over a decade at this point.
I know.
More extensively since I moved to Southern California, of course. But I moved down here. We all moved in together, and you came to me with the idea of making a collaborative album.
Well, shoot, I mean, we lived in the same house. I was making beats every day. You were rapping every day. I think we were just both in a point where we were really hungry, and we both just really wanted to make an album. So it was just perfect, you know? It's like, why not?
Yeah, I was definitely in a place where I was working on my first album too, and it was taking a pretty good stretch of time. And like you said, I was very hungry to finish things, and so we kind of took it upon ourselves to just at least conceptualize an album. So it was cool that we worked together, so I would say that there's synergy between us because we're such longtime friends. But when it comes to creating together as well, that translates. And so I think it was an easy transition for us to go from like, okay, well, you're producing, I'm rapping, I was dropping a lot of singles at the time, and you were producing pretty much like nightly.
Yep, nonstop. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, let's do something, man. Let's make something official. Like,
Right.
instead of all these little singles, let's just do like a real project. Let's like tell a story, you know? And I thought you would be a good storyteller.
I appreciate that. I feel like since I was young, I've been pretty good at storytelling. I've always been very interested in listening to storytelling hip hop, but haven't really done too much storytelling hip hop myself. I mean, like, growing up, I have made some songs, but not as descriptive as Escape Artist. So Escape Artist is a start to finish story. It's not one of those concept albums where you have a song and it's focused on a theme, and then there's 5 themes and then they add together to make one album. It's a coherent story from start to finish, even if it jumps around chronologically, which it doesn't much, but it does. It's something I've never done before, so that was a very cool thing to do with you.
Hell yeah. Yeah, right back at you, man. So I guess, yeah, because I remember it all started when I just had this like big folder of beats. And then we just kind of decided that we were going to work on this album together. And then you probably had at least like 15 to 20 beats. And you ended up choosing like just 12. And probably 12 of the most solid ones. Honestly, the ones that you picked, I'm glad you picked. There was some in there that I wouldn't have been so glad that you picked.
Did we want to stop at 12, or was that a decision I made? I don't remember.
I mean, I guess it was a decision you made, yeah. As you were writing the thing, you were like, okay, this is what it's going to be.
Time to wrap it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was very interesting because I didn't necessarily, I mean, like when it comes to making the album, you could always make in-between songs for in-between moments. You know, we all have our in-between days where, you know, we have like highlights of our life, and then we have the in-between moments where maybe could add like some extra context or anything like that. But I really wanted the story to have the most important moments that made it really clear why the characters made the decisions that they made so that we can move the story forward. So in making it 12 tracks, I really wanted to focus on it just being like very comprehensive and very straightforward, instead of like, okay, it's a 20-track album and over here we have a song about like this person just making music, or a song about this person going to the fucking gym or something like that. You know, everything that happens for a very specific reason, and it's all pretty important to this character's life. Very important.
Absolutely. So there's 12 songs. Obviously, you got to start somewhere. So why don't you talk about why we're wearing red?
Right. So the first track is called Vermillion. The reason why it's called Vermillion is, it's funny because when you're a hip hop artist or any type of artist, and especially a producer, you're constantly naming things. You're naming songs, you're naming lyrics, and as a producer, Ben names all of his beats. So producers like to get, especially because this guy's like a little cheeky, he names all of his beats something. Sometimes things that are just like really funny, and sometimes things that just sound exactly like the beat. You can't really necessarily describe it, but it makes it easy for an artist to at least use that as a jumping off point. Because when I hear a beat, I just think about the way it makes me feel, and then I create. In this process, do you remember what the beat was originally called?
Vermillion.
It was called Vermillion, right? So that made it easy as fuck. I don't know if we're gonna put this on Instagram, have to like cut out the fuck, but I don't know. It can end up
just beep it,
Just beep it. Beep. Perfect. Yeah. So anyway, the song was called Vermillion, and when coming to me talking about or asking if I wanted to do a collaborative album, Personify asked me if I wanted to make it a concept album, to which I agreed. I thought that sounded really cool. We've grown up listening to like albums like For Your Eyes Only by J. Cole and a myriad of other artists that have done something similar to that. I took that very literally, and then, like I said, started just like writing out a story. But before I even knew what to write, Ben was like, hey, the beat's called Vermillion. What if somewhere in the song you just say something about like vermilion, red bottom heels or something like that? Which is cool because like I don't take too many people's word for like or like advice when writing. But I will take Ben's. It's just something I take pride in, and I like to have full like agency over it. I don't like I write all my own stuff, like I don't typically have like a bug in my ear. But it was good advice, a great starting out point, because I essentially wrote the first song around the concept of the main character named Jordan buying red bottom heels for his, at that time, girlfriend. And so from there, that's kind of how the story started, which is funny because, this is a concept album. The concept is centered around, it's called Escape Artist. So the concept is escapism, but that didn't predate the Vermillion idea. It all just came from that beat and me being like, okay, so he's trying to buy his girlfriend shoes. He's young. He doesn't really know how he's going to be able to provide for that, and therefore, as you listen to the song, I don't want to spoil it or anything like that, you see how the story threads start to branch off in different directions that require me to continue writing and fleshing them out. But that's the jumping off point. And so yeah, why is he trying to buy these shoes for this woman? And why does he need this person's attention and affection? Those are answers that you're going to get in the album.
Damn right. And can you tell us if you ever tried to buy shoes for a woman?
I have been successful at buying shoes for a woman. I'd never just tried.
Real man. Real man.
But not red bottoms, no. Not to my knowledge. Unless I was like sleepwalking and just purchasing things that are out of my budget.
Happens. The best of them.
Yeah, so that was kind of just the direction that I wanted to take with it. I was thinking like, okay, well, why is this person trying to spend money that he doesn't have on somebody that is a bit materialistic? He has to have some sort of something he's trying to like fill in himself. And so that's the kind of the genesis of the character in this album. That's our jumping off point.
Bars.
Yeah. So when it comes to, since we're talking about Vermillion itself as a singular piece of work, what about that song would you say you're most proud of? Are there certain leaps in production that you took from when you first created the beat to modifications that you made? Because there are so many modifications with all of these different instrumentals that were made throughout the 3 or 4 years we've been working on this project.
A minute, for sure.
So yeah, what were some hurdles, some tribulations you had to get through, and when you got through them that you felt really proud of, like specifically with this song?
It's tough, but I would say when I came to LA, I was just making beat, like beat after beat. And I think when it came to this one, I finally felt like I kind of had my stuff together. And so, because I remember I would make a lot of beats and maybe they wouldn't have a good mix, or maybe something would be a little bit funky. And then I remember when I made this one, I was feeling confident. It was like right about New Year's Eve, like 2020. Probably shouldn't even say the year because I don't want to make this sound dated. But anyways, I remember it was right about New Year's Eve. I made this beat and I just made it in like one night. I probably sat there for like a long ass time, like hours. And then the next day I was like, okay, yeah, this is like probably the best beat that I've made like up to this point. And then after that, I actually, maybe that was one of the first ones I made for the album. Then after that, I just kind of started pumping them out. And even the second track, that we could talk about later. I literally made that one day after this beat. So I was feeling good after this beat. I was like, okay, I can do anything.
It's kind of poetic that it turned out to be the first song on the album if it was also like the first one that you made for kind of like that folder.
Yeah, right? It's kind of crazy, honestly.
Right.
So then, yeah, I just got the folder of all the best beats. Probably the best beats I thought I had. And yeah, that was the first one that you chose.
Yeah, well, I mean, it has this very like abrupt start to the song, which for me, like the first thing that I thought of is like that's the perfect way to start an album, because you want to have some sort of kind of like, okay, you start off in a certain place, there's going to be some peaks and some valleys, and especially when there's a narrative that's tied to it, you want to start out strong. And which I think is really cool about Vermillion, because the song itself, like the lyrics and what happens with the characters in the song itself, it's not like those hit super hard. I mean, people might be able to relate to that, but because of the beat, because of the way it comes in, because of the way that we intro into that, I don't know, it gets me excited every time I listen to it.
No, fair. Hell yeah. Yeah, so is that kind of why you chose it as the first one? Is because it's so abrupt, kind of just wakes you up?
Yeah, I mean, like, I really want, like, I'm not trying to emulate artists. We grew up listening to a different era of artists than, like, today, but I feel like we grew up with artists that were really able to create balanced albums. And so we got the luxury of being able to hear like what a first track might sound like, a second track, a third track. Like that was
before the era of singles, kind of.
Yeah, like that was kind of my mindset around where I wanted to place all of these different songs. And when we go throughout and do our interview based on like each different song, I can kind of go into that in more detail. This is focused on Vermillion. But like it really did start out in that place. And to me, like, might sound weird, but in a spiritual way, red just seemed like a good way to start. It's like the first like color of the rainbow. It's very dominant. It's very strong. I think Red Ranger vibes, leadership, tight shit. And so, I don't know. It all just came together in a way that I was very proud of and made sense.
Yeah, it's weird. That song just really like screamed red. Like, yeah, for some reason, I feel like it screamed red to me because I thought of the word Vermillion and I thought it sounded good on the beat. But like when you saw the beat was named Vermillion, like were you already thinking it was red, or did you kind of like come to that on your own conclusion, or like?
I was thinking Pokemon.
Oh, okay, hell yeah.
Was that not like inspiration for you?
Actually, no. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of Vermillion City, right?
Yeah, I would have thought that would be like inspiration for you.
Third gym badge.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, it's like little things though that maybe are inspiration, but you don't directly think about it too, because it could be in your subconscious or something like that.
True. Just Pokemon just going through your veins.
Right? Because when the fuck does anyone ever say Vermillion? Like, I don't know why, but because the beat, the way it kind of stutters, I was sitting there and as I was making it, and I just heard like Vermillion, bitch, Vermillion, and then I was like, okay, maybe.
The funny thing about that was once I decided that I had to say it, then it meant that I had to rhyme with it, and I was like, what the fuck rhymes with that? Like million, Killian. Actually, I said Cillian first. That was the first thing that happened. I thought it was Cillian Murphy, which now I feel silly like thinking about.
Cillian.
Like Scarecrow and then Peaky Blinders, like such a phenomenal actor that I was just fucking his name up all this time. But Killian. So I think after I said a few that rhymed with that, I moved on. So that's a hard word to rhyme with.
That's a hard one for sure. Million, Killian. Yeah, I wouldn't even have thought of Killian.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking A.
Because you don't want to, after that, you don't want to be like Dr. Evil, be like million, billion, bajillion.
I know, yeah, right.
Either that or you start like really like bending words to make it work, which I do in the album. I feel like any true lyricist does that. Doesn't have to rhyme exactly, and having fun with them and the way that they sound and the way you can contort them is kind of like what makes that interesting. But yeah, I tried not to do that too much with the Vermillion, Killian.
It's okay. Luda already dropped that one song. What is it? Way back in the day. But anyway, it's like the Austin Powers song. So we don't need to do that again.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
It's like wham 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 wham.
Yeah, exactly.
What fucking song is that?
Yeah, he drops a lot of Austin Powers. But funny song. Shouts out Luda, friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Yeah. Well, anyways, you asked me about what I was like proud of in that beat. So yeah, why don't you talk about your like when you were writing this song? Maybe just give us a little background, and then also if there's anything like during the recording process that you were like proud of or anything.
Cool, yeah. I mean, during the recording process, this goes for like more than just Vermillion, but like the reason why when I said that we started in 2021, what happened was we started writing it. We started, the beats were already done, quote unquote. Ben just modified them throughout this whole time that we've been working on the project. But we actually, we bought recording time and everything, and we went to a studio in Brea and then recorded the whole entire project. And we learned a lot from the experience. Shout out Brian.
Shouts out Brian from Brea.
Yeah, shout out Brian.
He's
from
a friend
Brea.
of the show too.
Friend of the show. Really, really cool guy, and a lot of knowledge in just being able to like record things in studio and give us a little bit of direction. And despite having all of that knowledge and pushing us in like really good directions, the way that the vocals turned out, not on his end, but more so in the way that I executed those vocals, we weren't super happy with. But we still knew that the content of the album, the lyrics, like it had a lot of potential. And so from the time of us like sitting on those lyrics or sitting on those vocals, which we were still planning on doing something with, we kept on releasing single after single and getting better and better. And Ben took on Personify took on a lot of, all of the engineering. He took it upon himself to really start learning that side of things, which trickled down to me and helped me out with like having an ear for things. So we just got better as a team, and so the products, the singles that we were putting out got better by virtue. And so we got to a point where there's such a divide between the way that I executed those vocals back then and our mixing capabilities that we just decided to just redo the whole thing. So that's the reason why it's taken like 4 years, is because we basically did the album twice. Probably.
Yeah, we did it twice. Arguably like 3 times, almost.
Just getting ready to say that.
Yeah, 2.5. Because it was crazy. It literally was like that. We recorded the whole album, paid for studio time, but yeah, we were just green, honestly. Like, and as a producer too, like it's on me to like kind of coach things and try to help them sound a certain way. And yeah, I wasn't able to do that either. So yeah, we had a good engineer. Michael and I, I'm very proud of like our talents, even at that time. But yeah, we were just green. So anyways, we made this whole album and then decided it wasn't good enough, scrapped it, said start again, let's do it. Because we didn't want to put bullshit out there for y'all, all right?
And Pro Tools was like hella cursed for certain songs too. So we would really like the takes that I did, but then there'd be particular pops or particular reflections, and so we set up a studio in a very particular way just so we could get it as dead as possible so that Ben would have an easier time with mixing. Because you spent a lot of time mixing this project and just being like, why isn't it getting better? Why isn't it getting better? And we're like, because the way that this whole room is set up, it's so big. There's just no way to avoid that until there was.
Right. Yeah, because we made this album twice together for sure, but I probably mixed this album a dozen times, straight up.
And I've recorded several of these songs several times too, and that's one of the trickiest parts is like when you're pushing for, I won't call it perfection, but just to get to a level to where you're like comfortable with where it's at or like even excited about where it's at. Yeah, exactly. Then you have this kind of threshold between the excitement of rapping a certain song, and like you'll hear throughout this whole album that different songs have different feels, they have different emotions. So getting into those emotions, people get into the booth and they try to get into those things. But when you've recorded a song 2, 3, 4 times, on that 4th time you get to a point to where you're like acting. Like you like really have to kind of dip into the character, whereas before you're just excited, and it's especially like early on in the album when, it's just kind of getting started off and introducing some of these characters. The character's very young, hasn't learned much yet. That's a little bit easier to re-record. As you get deeper into the album, you'll find that there's a lot more emotion and there's a lot more, serious things that are happening. And so to re-record that like the 4th time, there comes a point where you kind of just have to cut it off and just, not call your losses because it's not a loss, but it's just like the emotion that we got in that take is really good, and it might not, be mixed or not mixed, but like it might not sound exactly to the level that we want it to sound, but me doing it again and then forsaking that emotion, getting rid of all of that and the way that it sounds, just so that sonically it sounds better, it's not really worth it, So That's one thing about, and I know I kind of just like went on a bit of a, not a tantrum. What's the word I'm looking for?
Tangent?
A tangent. Yeah, I went on a bit of a tangent about the whole album, but I would say that like, since we're starting with the first song, we could just talk about the album in that way. I'm very proud of us
Definitely.
for the leaps that we took, and not accepting what we viewed as like mediocrity in ourselves. You know, we just knew that we could be better and that it could sound better. And that makes me feel good about me too, because like obviously you feel good about the beats that you're making and the way that they sound. And then like I feel like the scope of the album was so big in terms of what we were trying to do with the storytelling that kind of was a humbling experience for me, because it's like, okay, what I wrote was valuable enough to warrant making it sound good so that people will hear what I'm saying. Hopefully they'll hear what I'm saying, you know, so.
Damn right they will.
Yeah.
Yee.
Yeah, baby. And I would say that back to Vermillion, if we're going to stay on topic, the thing that I'm proud most about that song about is I started out that song not knowing where the story was going to go. But also, if you're starting a story, then you have to establish characters. So I felt like the characters that I established in the first song were a good enough foundation to build off of. And, you know, throughout the album, then more are introduced and they have more to do and interact with Jordan. Different things happen. But I feel like the people that I chose and what they mean to Jordan, what they do to and for Jordan, I was proud of. You know, I was proud of creating I feel like coherent, almost like prologue chapter to the rest of the album.
That's what's up. So, do we want to talk about Jordan and who he is?
Yeah, I mean, since it's Vermillion, let's just cut it off at the point at which it's no longer Vermillion. But yeah, we can definitely talk about Jordan.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So, yeah, who is this guy? Is he the one trying to buy the shoes?
Right.
What's the deal?
Right. So I don't want to give too much away about like Jordan's backstory for why he's buying the shoes, but just want to say that in this song, Jordan is trying to buy those red bottom heels for his girlfriend at the time. He's in high school. He's a junior in high school, and he's a kid that's a little bit lost. You know, he doesn't necessarily know what he wants to do high school and beyond. What he does know is that he likes to spend time with his friends. He likes to make music, and he still, even in doing those things and knowing that those things give him validation and love, is still feeling like there's a void inside of him that needs to be filled, and that only that outward validation from somebody like a woman or a girl, should I say, this girl's, you know, even a little bit younger than Jordan is, can fill. And so he's a smart kid. He's aware that the reasons why she's with him are probably because of these monetary things that he's able to provide for her. But he doesn't really care, you know, and that's kind of where I want us to find Jordan. I want him to be immature. I want him to have self-awareness, but no discipline. And that's kind of where he's at. Like, he's just wanting things now, which a lot of us wanted when we were teenagers. And a lot of us didn't know until we were adults that those things are driven by deep pain. So Jordan's in a place to where he's going to go after those things, and what happens due to this refusal to look at what that void is what's going to get him into situations. Yeah, I guess if we're talking about Jordan, I could just leave it there.
Instant gratification, man. That'll get you.
Yep.
It's all about delayed gratification.
Yep. Instant gratification is indeed a drug, and it's not one that I'd recommend Jordan or anybody else pursuing.
Well, I hope he finds the graduation to the instant gratification.
The graduation for the instant gratification, and the one that I was going to rhyme with that is not very...
Comes in cycles like menstruation.
That's better. I was going to be very non-PG, so... It was masturbation.
Also a friend of the show.
So yeah, I mean, as far as Vermillion goes, moving into day ones, how did you feel about where the song started off, like in terms of what I wrote and to where it was going? Like, when you first heard Vermillion, did you have any idea of where like I would maybe write into next, or like what would be a cool direction to take the character?
Yeah, definitely had no idea, to be honest. Like, I wasn't expecting any of that. I was just like, hey, like let's come up with some kind of concept album, you know, like let's come up with something cool. And then you came back, you're like, bro, I got a story, bro. I got 12 tracks, man.
much of a
I think it's
story.
all gonna work out. And I was like, damn, that's fucking crazy, man. It sounds good. But yeah, I definitely didn't expect really anything that you came up with, man. I think that's why it's so cool, is because all of it was like so surprising, and all of it was like so just like deep and personal and original. That's like what makes it really cool. Like, because I had my own original beats, and you really came on with some original like lyricism.
Well, it made it easy when you had so many beats in that one folder, and from there I essentially was just like, this is number one. And then, like I said previously, like I had different kind of like outlines around how should track one sound, how should track two sound, track three, and then from that mind state, then I selected beats. You know, because there's some beats that you're gonna listen to and you're like, oh, that's a track 9. You're like, we can't get there already. It sounds a little dark and foreboding.
A little dark, a little much.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the rest of the album when we get to there. But I'd say that's it.
Absolutely, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Whoop whoop. Story's in and we're out.
That's Vermillion, you guys.
That's Vermillion, y'all.
Hope you enjoy.
Put it there, partner.